Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Let's go. Hope you had an amazing Monday yesterday. Hope things been well for you.
I can't believe you never heard it. I'm a very popular mechanic.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Sitting here thinking about everything that's done occurred over the last month. Today is the 10th. It has been 30 days since show 1. Because I started September the 11th. It's been 30 days since we started this stream. Good morning, Craig. Good morning, yo. Good morning. Good morning. Life has a funny way of balancing things out, putting things in order. Just real quick, how's my audio sound? Does my mic sound a little crispier today? Does it sound richer, fuller? And if it does, it's because I got a new mic. Got a new mic. Now, this mic was also a gift from the same guy. He gave me the soundboard and a mic, but I never connected the mic. And I was listening to a replay when I was doing some edits. Good morning, Positive Self-Talk. And I was listening to the replay, and I noticed there was a little audio didn't sound quite as clear as I would have liked it. So I looked over at the corner, and I said, hey, let me put that mic in too. That mic sounds like it looks like it might be a little bit better mic. And just what I'm hearing right now, it sounds great to me. So I hope it sounds as good to you. Blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings. You know, Big Sean is one of my favorite artists. I think his flow is unmatched. His wordplay, he's definitely an educated brother, and he talks about real stuff, and he turns stories. He tells stories that's so relatable to my life and to my situations. He's a great other Mike coming home. Yes, sir. Well, as I was saying in the intro, the this marks 30 days of doing this podcast, where 3 of the weeks were full weeks. The first week was only 2 episodes, but I still count it as 30 days because I'm excited about it. Consistency is one of the toughest things that we face in our busy world, our busy society, and we just have so many moving pieces that's happening on a regular basis. And I was a little concerned about going 5 days a week when I made the decision to do it, honestly, because doing personal development talk, doing motivational talk every day, it can be a little taxing on just content creation, not to mention life is happening around you. Because I tell you guys, there are some days when I get up and I'm exhausted, which is why you always see me with my cup of coffee. Cheers to you. And there's also some days when me and my wife, we ain't necessarily vibing. Some days I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and I'm not vibing with myself. And so digging deep to practice what I preach, basically, is why I'm saying this. Life comes at us fast. There's always something that's going to get in the way. But if you lose your focus, if you lose your goals, those cars that we talk about, putting them down. Hey, Imani. Yeah, got that coffee too, baby. I love it. I love it. If you let life distract you, you're going to find yourself restarting over every time because momentum is a real thing. And if we're not focused on a goal, we don't have a direction that's set in stone that's going to guide us, almost like a lighthouse. It's guiding us to our destination safely. Then we're going to get knocked off. We're going to take detours, and life's going to get a little more complicated. So today, we're talking about the self-imposed limitations that we put on ourselves. Because as we discovered using those 13 laws of success, that the majority, like 90% of those laws, are dealing with us. Only 2 to 3 of them have anything to do with anybody else, which means our success lies within us. Our success lies within our definite purpose, our faith center, how we program that subconscious mind. And so today I want to talk about that self imposed limit. But for a question, I want to ask, what story have you been telling yourself? What story have you been telling yourself? And ask yourself this while you're thinking about it. Who told you that story? Because most of us are repeating a story that didn't originate from within us. You're going to be just like your dad. You act just like your mom. In our family, we do this, we do that. There's a story that has been told to all of us. And the majority of us believe it. As a matter of fact, I would say 99% of people believe that story because it was our first programming. It was the first lessons taught to us by those who raised us, who educated us, who loved us. And so that story may not have always been negative. It could have been very positive. But nonetheless, a story was told to us and we've adopted it as our own. So just think about that today. And I do have a question for you. What did I do with it? Oh, here you go. What I start doing now every morning is I go to JamonGloverSpeaks.com and I pick up my gratitude journal and I fill it out before the show or after the show, depending upon what's coming next for me. And some of the things that it talks about is today I'm grateful for. Just 3 things that I'm grateful for. Then the next part it says something that inspires me. Then the next section is today's affirmation. And so I get a chance to say what I'm grateful for, 3 things, my affirmation, and think about something that inspires me. And thinking about that, something that has inspired me is I've learned to appreciate peace. I talked about yesterday about Ranger Nate and how he was so enthusiastic about his job and he took something that initially seemed kind of corny to me and turned it into an admiration and inspiration and a respect and a respect. And so the thing that I value that is something that has inspired me right now is peace. Peace. And for me it's a little different. I had a chance to talk to 3 of my children yesterday and just understanding where they are in life, understanding that as a parent, you're never not needed as a parent. Because sometimes you do feel like if you did a good job raising them anyway, you feel like at some point you're not needed anymore. And then it's like, okay, well, what's next? At least for me, that's how my mind works. But having conversations, I realize that no matter how old my children get, they'll never be as old as I am. And so there's always something that I can share, some wisdom, some advice, some support that I can offer. So that's what inspired me. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's a go getter, and whenever I talk to her, I'm always in awe of the woman that she's becoming. So That is also something that inspires me. So, what's something that inspires you? If you can write, if you can text it. If you put it in the chat. If you're driving and you can't do it, no worries. Just kind of think about what's something that inspires you. I'm just curious because we're in a space now where we've laid the foundation, we've laid the groundwork, and so now it's time to get into spaces where we're actually building a community. Something that is a little bit past the entertainment value of this show, something past just the general content. But I want you to realize your dreams. I want to help you get to that next level in your life. That is the whole purpose for this channel. I'm not here just to talk, you know. I don't mind having a conversation or two, but I like my conversations to be meaningful. Appreciate that. Imani said, "You inspire me." Haha. For those you don't know, that's my oldest daughter, drill sergeant. Oh man, I love that little girl. I tell you, screaming that young woman now. So we're talking about today those self-imposed limitations. But before we go into it, I want to talk about something that is a plague upon most of us, most of our family members, most of our friends, and that is the word called average. That Shigio said her family inspires her. That's what I'm talking about. Family should inspire us all, one way or the other. Family, the ones we love, the only ones that can truly hurt us deeply because they know us. They're not afraid to speak their minds. And family is can be dysfunctional sometimes, but because we're family, we always pull it back and we always figure it out. So family is it's a beautiful entity, and I cherish it and I value it tremendously. But talking about average, most people fall into the average category. And average is basically if you take a group of something, there's an average of people doing the same thing, an average of this particular outcome happening. It's the norm. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just the norm. There's this heated debate in social media spaces right now talking about average men or average women. And if you are on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a 5, then you're average. Most people are average. Most people are average. Most people are average in finances. Most people are average in looks. Most people are average in height. There's an average height for men. There's an average height for women. Average is just what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. The problem with average, however, is most of us have so much more to give. And average never stands out. Average just exists. It makes no waves. It doesn't shine no brighter than any other thing. So average activities give average results. I'm a huge fan of track and field, and I want to share some with you this morning concerning this whole track and field thing. And so my question has always been, let me share my screen real quick. That's not the one I want. I want this one. Nope. Here we go again. That's not the one I want. I want. This is the one I want. Yes. I love track and field, and I'm always interested in the results and who won, and so I was going down, and Sha'Carri Richardson, she's the new golden girl of track and field, and recently, back in August, she won first place in the World Championships in Budapest. She won with a time of 10.65 seconds. Sharika Jackson from Jamaica came in at 10.72, and Shelly Ann Fraser Price from Jamaica also came in at 10.77. But what I find the most interesting is 10.65 was first place. But if you come down to number eight, the eighth place person came in at 11 seconds flat. So what's the difference between a 10.65 and an 11 second race. It's a very fast race, super fast. The problem, however, is if you go back and look at the numbers, and I want to take you to another one. This is the USA Track and Field Association and how they rank, how they pay the people that actually make it to the Olympics. I'm gonna go back to the other one in a second. Let's get me off the screen real quick. So, if you qualify, this is just qualifying trials. If you qualify first place, then you take the prize of $10,000. Second place, 8,000, all the way down to seventh place and eighth place, which is 1,000. Now, this is just qualifying. This is not going to the Olympics. This is not the World Championship. This is not any sponsorships. It's not none of that. It's just simply qualifying to go to the Olympics. Okay. Now, let's take you back here. How much money do you think winners receive after winning these world championships? Well, if you are the first place winner, get off my screen, in any event in the goal, you win $70,000. And if you're in eighth place, you win $5,000. First place goal wins $70,000. Eighth place wins $5,000. Now, if you in the relay team, if you win gold, and Sha'Carri Richardson, she won the gold in the 100. They won the gold in the 4x1. So that's an additional is 80,000 for the team. So additional $20,000. So let's say she only ran 2 races. She left the World Championships a week worth of work, actual work. She brought home $90,000. Shout out to Sha'Carri. Shout out to Sha'Carri. A week worth of work netted her that kind of money. And the reason I find it so interesting is that these are world class athletes. But even in the world class athlete ranks, there's still a thing called average. And I know many of you've already heard about the 80-20 rule. And it states that 80% of the production will come from 20% of the, whether it's people, whether it's crops, whether it's whatever. 80% of your outcomes will come from 20%. So the question is, how do you get in the 20%? And most people have goals and dreams and desires of traveling the world, living in an above average life, a life of comfort, a life of where they're not stressed about the money all the time. They want some means. They want to pass wealth down to their children. But what does the average family actually do? The average person in the United States averages roughly $42,000 to $50,000 a year. A household of 2, that's right around $100,000 for a family of 2. Which is why family does matter, because you double the income, you double the resources. And society itself was not built for single people. It taxes too hard. The cost of living is too high. But for this example, we're going to really talk about average families. The average family now, used to once upon a time, the average family had a plan. You go to college 30 years, you go to college and you get a job and you work 30 years and then you retire. But what they started finding out was that people would work for 30 years, they would retire, and it still would not be enough money to live on. So they had to go get another job, which is why you should see all the greeters at Walmart were normally senior citizens, which is why you would always see older male security guards. Uncle Otis is 72, but he the security guard at this warehouse at night. If something happened, Uncle Otis can't do nothing but call the police. They might always got an alarm system, right? But average things happen time over time over time and nothing changes. And so it took me down this rabbit hole of thinking, why do people get stuck in average? And the answer that I came up with was those self-limitation or self-imposed limitations. We do it to ourselves and we don't understand that we're doing it. See, baby. We do it to ourselves and we don't realize that we're capable at any moment of changing those outcomes. But they do not happen by accident. We're not most times going to luck ourselves out of it. Because if we got lucky and hit the lottery, what are the odds? But then if you hit for $100 million, odds are, statistics say that inside of 5 years you're going to be either broke again or worse off than you were before you actually won the lottery. Because that subconscious mind is a beast. That first programming, those limitations, you can never be more than what your subconscious mind allows for you to be. So the first place, the second place in track and field, or the first place and the eighth place in track and field, generally is less than a second. It's like literally 3/10 of a second. 3/10 of a second slower than the person that won first place. But the first place person got $70,000. And the last place person got a whopping, what was that, $5,000. That's a huge gap. So the question on the table for today: how do we get past being average? How do we get into the 20%? How do we do that? And honestly, it's a very simple answer, but it's not always easy because it requires repetition and intention. Repetition and intention. And that's why I do this show 5 days a week, because it requires repetition and intention. So the people who are here day in, day out, shout out to Craig and that chick Yo and Brick by Brick, positive self-talk, you guys are here faithfully. I have no doubt in my mind that some of this information is starting to penetrate some of that old programming. It has to, because it's the repetition in doing it. I read the same books over and over again because every time I read the book, I get something different from it. Every time I listen to a podcast or a show or whatever, I get something different from it. And because I grow, because my perception changes, I start to see things at a different level. Because we don't see the world as we are. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. And when we change how we see things, things start to change around us. That's why two people can walk outside and one person can say, "Oh man, it's a beautiful day." And the other person can be like, "Man, life sucks." They're seeing the exact same thing, but one's perception is different. So, before we get into our topic for today fully, let's go ahead and knock some of these gratitudes out and just take a minute. We're going to really focus on the things that we have to be grateful for. And with that being said, let me find my right screen this time. Here we go. All right. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to start thinking about and get yourself in the right gratitude spirit. And then I'm going to start with the gratitudes. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a renewed mind, a fresh spirit. I'm grateful for a good night's rest. I'm grateful for the health, the vitality within my body. I'm grateful for the wellness and the health of my family, my friends. I'm grateful for my children who make me proud every day. I'm grateful for my past mistakes, my failures, the lessons that I've had to learn the hard way. I am grateful because it's making me the person that I am today. I'm grateful for every time I chose not to quit. I'm grateful for every new relationship, every new opportunity. I am grateful. I'm grateful for the systems that have been put in place that allow me to move freely, to walk with pride, to understand and develop myself. I am grateful for everything in my life today. I'm grateful for a mind to work through and find the best solutions. I am grateful for you. All right, we're back. So, we're going to talk about today breaking through those self-imposed limitations. Breaking through those self-imposed limitations. And I found this article on, it's called the Minimalist Made Simple website. Well, the Minimalist Made Simple. It's a website. I initially went to them when I was trying to declutter. I was trying to declutter my workspace and kind of make it flow a little bit better because I have piles of stuff just everywhere sometimes. And I found way more than I bargained for. And I read their blogs, their sites pretty regular just for ideas and tips about, how to make my life move better. And so they had this one article called 7 Ways to Break Through Self-Imposed Limitations. And so the first thing they talk about in this article was identifying them first. You have to identify those limiting beliefs. And I know that makes sense, but how do you do that? Well, that's easy. Listen to your negative self-talk. Yep. The I sucks. Oh, I can't win for losing. Think about all those things that we say about ourselves that are not positive. My wife, whenever she catches me saying it, because I still slip from time to time, and she'll catch me and she'll be like, "You better stop talking about my husband like that." And I'm like, "You right, baby. That man about to get jumped talking about my guy like that." But it's actually identifying those negative self beliefs. So the article, the first line of it says, to break through self imposed limitations, it is essential to identify the limiting beliefs that are holding us back. Now, they talk about beliefs that hold us back. Some of us may confuse that with fear, and fear might be a byproduct of that. The thing that we're afraid to do. We're afraid to act on a certain thing. We're afraid to join a certain group or make a decision. We're afraid to upset the apple cart. It could be your wife or your husband or your brother or your sister. They're doing something that don't sit right with you. However, you don't want to upset the apple cart because it's going to feel uncomfortable. They might not respond well to it. Just the way it goes. Average people just settle. They just deal with it. But then they're miserable. And so now it's hard to be the first place finisher over here and the last place finisher over there. As I used to tell my son when he was playing, my oldest son when he was playing football, son, you play like you practice. You can't lollygag in practice and then think you're going to be a superstar in the game. You are who you are. You can't flip a switch that's not there. In order to go up and down in levels, you have to practice it. It takes 21 days to say create a habit or change a habit. But only if you've been intentional about your activities and you're doing it over and over again. Why? Because it goes back to that subconscious mind. The subconscious mind don't discriminate. You could tell it a bunch of positive stuff, it's going to believe it. You could tell it a bunch of negative stuff, it's going to believe it. So identifying these limiting self beliefs is really the first step. Matter of fact, in the chat box, if you know you have that negative self talk, put a one in the chat. Just want to see something real quick. If you know you have those negative, limiting self talks, put a one in the chat. But stay there for a second, though. Stay there. Stay there for 1 second. Go ahead and put them in the chat. I just want to play a little music while I wait for these ones. If you have no negative self talks, put a two in the chat. Okay, I see some ones coming through. All right, I'm waiting on my twos. Where my twos at? If you have no negative self talk, where my twos at? If you have negative self talk, where the ones? Up, I see one sometimes. Okay, I like it. I like it. Ones. Any twos? Any twos? Anybody who don't have negative self talk? Well, I don't want to hang y'all out there by yourself, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop. I'm gonna drop my one in there too because I'm gonna drop my one in there too because I know I was talking some stuff the other night. My wife had to get on me. Don't talk about my husband like that. I appreciate you, baby. I appreciate you. So, two, for the second part of that question, if you have identified the negative self-talk, have you identified what those? Let me rephrase that question. We know that we have negative self-talk. One. So for the second part of that, have you identified? Do you recognize them when you do it, and do you correct them? Let me get another one. If you recognize it and correct it, and a two if you recognize it but don't correct it. One, if you recognize and correct it. Two, if you recognize but don't correct. And why are you putting that? What do I mean by correct it? The moment you catch yourself saying something negative, do you say, as my great grandma used to say, the devil is a lie. I am blessed and highly favored. I'm not broke. Hey, when you get that negative self-talk, do you do it? And I'm gonna put a two in there for me. And I'm gonna put sometimes. Oh, Craig, you put a three. You put a three. Absolutely, 50-50. Oh man, I love it. So we having real talk. We having real conversation this morning. I love it. We having real conversation this morning. And so that's where the first part of it begins, is identifying them. Once you recognize that you are having these negative conversations about yourself, now understanding that you're programming yourself, and they think they call that auto suggestion. Yeah, they call it auto suggestion. You are hypnotizing yourself to believe that you are what you're saying. So now you're almost making it impossible to have any other outcome than the thing you put in there the most. Think about that. The thing you put in your mind the most is what's going to grow, regardless of what you say or what you think you're doing. Challenging those beliefs is number two. We kind of covered that. It is saying the opposite of what you want. It is saying the opposite of what you think. It is getting control of what our thoughts are about a certain part of ourselves or something that we do. It is having the negative thought, because sometimes you can't control what you think. It just pops in your head sometimes, and it's like, oh wow, no, that's not happening. But what you can control is how long you dwell on it. So now you challenge that belief. Now you speak against speak the opposite. Really, it's not even challenging as you like. It's man, I'm broke. I ain't got no money. Nope. I'm not broke. Money comes to me easily and frequently. Every time I turn around, somebody has a new opportunity for me. I have a certain set of skills that allow me to make money whenever I need to, whenever I want to. That's how you challenge those limiting beliefs. Number three, You have to develop a growth mindset. You have to develop a growth mindset. Now, that's part of what you're doing here. You're putting new information in, or you're refreshing information that you already have. But that also includes doing why we do the gratitude journals, the affirmations, while we have our call to actions in our PDF. So if you haven't got your PDF, go to JamonGloverSpeaks.com, look for journals, download you a free copy because I do mine every day. After the show, I'll do my takeaways because that's the second page. It's the takeaways. And I write my takeaways down. I do things that I'm grateful for. I do my affirmation. And I also, throughout the day, I'm looking for something that inspires me, something different every day. So now I am tuned to find the positive. Now my self talk is better because I just developed a growth mindset. I come and I join the morning motivation. I read books. I listen to other podcasts. I get around positive people because I want a growth mindset. Because in life, we know two things: either you're growing or you're dying. There is no sitting still. You're either growing, you're either progressing, or you're regressing. That's life. There is no stagnant level. So number four, setting achievable goals. This one, in all honesty, was the toughest for me. It was the toughest for me because I am always so busy and I don't have time for so many things. I used to think I had a one track mind. And technically, I kind of still do. Whatever I'm focusing on the most in the moment, that's really what I'm doing. I don't see anything else. I don't think about calling people. I don't think about setting appointments. Whatever I'm doing in the moment is what I'm doing. And so the problem comes in now is that the moment my phone rings and I need to answer it, I'll forget what I was doing. Now I'm doing something else. And so now I'm doing 12 different things throughout every day. And so what I have started adopting in my life now is I create my list of my to-do list of things to do. And yes, it's normally that big. I'll on a full sheet of paper. I'll create my goal list for the day. And I have found a way to check off things. And that works miracles for me because now I know when I need to get back to a thing. I know when I need to follow up with somebody. Now I know when something that didn't get done yesterday needs to happen for today. And the craziest thing, oh, I got another one in the chat. That means somebody's agreeing. I like it. I like it, positive self talk. And the craziest thing is that I start to create momentum. Have you ever just felt stuck? Sometimes you have so many things to do that you just lose all energy to do it. Start creating that big list of things to do. And the more you check off, the more energy you're going to have, the more accomplished you're going to feel. Now you are getting ahead of the negative self-talk because now you can say instead of, man, I got so much work to do, man. There's no way in the world I can get it all done. Now it's like, oh, I knocked that off. I knocked off 5 things in this past hour. I'm almost halfway done for the day. That's how you do it. Now, I am struggling on one more thing. Hey, you mind if she raised her hand? She said, "Amen." I am struggling with one thing now that I'm working on. But the reason I'm being transparent is because I want you to understand personal development is a lifelong journey because you're always growing, you're always changing, and it's so hard to undo that first programming. Life always knocking us down, situations, bills, finances, people. That's just stuff that just happens that we have to be in a more positive minded space than in the negative minded space. It makes life easier to maneuver. The happier you are, the more in tune you are with your goals, you have something to reach for. It makes you a more productive citizen. That's why we always hear that a person with nothing to lose is a dangerous person. They'll do anything. They don't care about their life. They don't care about your life and nobody else's life. That's why trolls on the internet they're so toxic because they have nothing going for themselves, and so their mission is to tear down other people. It's just kind of what it is. So setting achievable goals, which is number 4, that's what creates the momentum that you'll need to get more momentum and to knock out things much faster. And that's what's going to get you to being in that 20% also. Most people don't read anything more than what's come across their phone. Most people don't write goals. So you already moving yourself away from the average, away from the 80 into that 20. The next step is seeking support and guidance. That's why the morning motivation was created. We want to be in spaces where we can have those like-minded people, those spaces where we can get that daily charge. We can get those tips, those insights to why we may be struggling with certain things. Community matters. Your circle of influence matters. Every time you are in association with someone, the the direction of that group is going to determine your direction. My middle daughter, she was when she was in college, she was dating this guy. And some people on this line may know who I'm talking about, so I'm not gonna call his name. But I always thought the guy, he's a nice. He was a nice enough guy. I always thought he was just a little slow, just a little, little slow. Well, one day he came to the house and I was drinking. I was drinking coffee like I generally do, and one of my friends came over, and so we go to the garage and I pull out some cigars, and next thing you know, the garage door opens up. He comes out with a cup of coffee, and he said, "Hey, can I get one of those cigars?" And I said, "Do you even smoke?" He said, "Nah, but man, successful people drink coffee and smoke cigars. So I want to be successful one day too. So I'm gonna learn how to smoke cigars and drink coffee." We cracked up laughing because he was dead serious. He was dead serious. But I learned something that day. I learned something about him. He's going to be successful if he keeps following successful examples. Now, smoking cigars, drinking coffee, that's not the best habits. I'm not encouraging that for no one. However, he is paying attention to what success looks like. And he saw something in me and in my situation that said, I want to aspire to be in this space. So let me mimic what he's doing. So if you're a role model, you are a role model, whether you realize it or not. Somebody is watching you. Most likely it's your children. Most likely it's close family, friends, your spouse. Somebody is looking at you and they're going to base their heading off of where you are, whether you're the leader or not. We all learn from each other every day. But that's the importance of seeking support and guidance. The sixth thing is something that, especially if from a minority community, or you might be an immigrant, or what have you, that's resiliency. Building resiliency to overcome those setbacks. Life is going to happen to us all. It's just what it is. Life is going to happen to us all. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, as long as you're living anyway, there's nothing you can do about it. And the rubber band, you can take a rubber band and you can stretch it out and you let it go, it's going to pop right back to where it was. That's resiliency. The problem happens is that we get stretched too thin and we're just held there. And over time, we lose our resiliency. And now you let the rubber band go and it just falls without snapping back. That's what happens when we don't have the community, when we don't identify those negative self-talk, when we don't challenge those ideas. That's what happens to us when we have too much on our plates with no outlets. When we don't have the community and the support, we lose our resiliency and we lose our snapback. And now we go into mental health challenges and depression and all those things that are counterproductive to the goals and the dreams that we want. Because we all have goals. We all have something that we want to accomplish in life. At least most of us do. So developing that resiliency by putting systems in place I appreciate you for choosing the morning motivation to add to your list of things that set you in a better path, because it matters. Community truly matters. And the final part is that celebrate the wins. If you catch yourself twice today challenging a negative self-talk, celebrate that. Clap. Give yourself a high five. I mean, say, okay, I did it. Call somebody, text somebody, write something down. There's so many different ways. Go get a nice sparkling water. Buy yourself a cup of coffee. Always celebrate your victories. Don't just say, yeah, I was supposed to. No, make it a big deal. Because when you're trying to reach for high goals, you got to feel something. You got to feel something. It has to mean something on a level greater than, eh. And I say that knowing I struggle with that. I hardly ever celebrate my victories, but I am learning to do so. And in my celebration of my victories, I'm learning to recognize victories faster. I'm learning to celebrate faster. I'm learning to get on to the next one faster. You ain't got to stop, but do smell the roses for a few minutes. Say, dang, I did it. I overcame. Pat yourself on the back. Good job. It could be something that simple. It's the recognition. It's reaffirming to that subconscious mind that this is the behavior we want to see more of. All of this is right here between our ears, ladies and gentlemen. It is right between our ears. Auto suggestion, faith, programming, following systems, having a vision and a goal for something, a dream that you're striving for. That's what life is about. That's when you're productive. That's when you're the most happiest in life. So I want to read their conclusion. I think it was pretty cool. I just been kind of reading the bullet points, but I'm going to read their conclusion. It says breaking through self-imposed limitations is a critical step in achieving our full potential. By understanding and recognizing our limiting beliefs, challenging them, and developing a growth mindset, we can break free from the barriers that are holding us back. And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to reach our full potential because there's something in all of us that aspires to be better, that wants to see what's next. Everybody doesn't realize their dreams. Actually, 80% of people don't realize their dreams because they remain in the average space. You being here tells me that you're not average. You reading the books that you read, joining the communities and the groups that you join, tells me that you're not average. And when you get into a space where everybody is on one accord, amazing things begin to happen. Amazing things begin to happen. When I first started this show, my first episode, I talked about my high school wrestling disappointment, what I would have considered my biggest failure. I'll recap it for those who didn't hear it, but I talked about how I never took wrestling serious. I didn't start even wrestling until the end of my sophomore year. I think I wrestled 5 matches before the season was over. My junior year, I went back out because my cousin wrestled, and it was fun. I did like it. But then I wrestled good enough. I finished 20-15. I got an invitation to go to regionals, and I declined to go because I said I had to work, but really I lied. I want to take this girl out on this date because wrestling really wasn't that serious for me. I didn't take it serious. And then going into my senior year, I was hold on, let me pause a second, read this comment. Time goes by so fast. We have to stop and enjoy every victory, win, and goal. Positive self-talk. Appreciate that. Bobby had said facts. She said, read that again. But yeah, going into my senior year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And I had to, she had just opened up a beauty salon, and she was going through radiation and I think maybe some chemo or something, but she couldn't work. And so my dad was already stretched, taking over the whole house. So I already had a little part-time job, but I took a second job to help pay the bills at her shop so she wouldn't lose it because she had worked so hard for it and I didn't want to see her lose it. And my coach just couldn't understand why I couldn't be at practice every day, all day. And I would just had to leave a few minutes early to go to my evening job. I had an early release job I got out of school at 1 o'clock. So I worked from 1:30 to like 4 loading trucks at his warehouse. Then I leave there, come back to school, practice. I had to leave practice by 6:30 to be at my job by 7:15. And then I worked from there to like 10. And this was the beginning of my senior year of high school. And me and my coach had a disagreement by the third game of the season, and I was no longer on the team. I was the captain of the football team. Had been the captain since my sophomore year. For all intents and purposes, it was my team. And now it's gone. And so the one thing that I have to focus on now, because I don't run track really and I don't play basketball, was wrestling. And so I put everything into wrestling. I went and I actually learned how to wrestle. And I finished the year 32-2. Won the regionals, got an invitation to states. I get to states and I self-destruct. I literally forget how to wrestle because I was so used to being the underdog, people not believing in me. Now everybody is celebrating me, patting me on the backs, bring home the championship. You'll be the first school state champion. And they just heaping all this pressure on my shoulders. And an amazing thing happened. I was taking it. I was accepting it. And then I started feeling really funny because I didn't feel worthy to be that state champion because of all the negative self-talk, because of all the initial programming. It wasn't set up for success. And so I stepped on the mat and I literally forgot how to wrestle. And the guy that eventually won, I had already beaten him that year. I would have been that first state champion for my high school, but my mind, my subconscious mind, gave me the results that I have been constantly putting into it. And that's how it works, folks. It'll creep up on you in the last moment, the moment before you're about to reach your goal, and it'll say you're not worthy, and it'll snatch you back down. So as you can see, personal development has been a part of my story for a very long time. And I want you to get the best results that you can with your time and with your efforts, what you're doing. So in saying that, let's go ahead and get to our affirmations and close, get out of here because I got a couple of appointments I got to get to this morning. I got to go see moms and some other stuff. So let's get to these affirmations real quick and I will see you on the other side. But as always, I'll let you start first and then I'll join in. I am more than enough. I am the head and not the tail. I am a conqueror. I am worthy of all that I seek because what I seek is also seeking me. I am happy and excited to have the #1 coaching and consulting company for men and family success. I am happy and excited to be a 6-time best-selling author. I am happy and excited to create a lasting legacy, to leave something that my children can continue and their children can continue. I am happy and excited to break the generational curses off of my family. I am excited to be the #1 speaker in the world. I am happy and excited to be the owner of multiple properties across the country. I am happy and excited that I will be traveling the world, meeting new people, new cultures, learning different languages, eating great food. I am so happy and excited that I have enduring health, wealth, mental clarity, and focus. I am so happy and excited that every person that is attached to me and every person that I am attached to, we are in this chain of progress and success. I am happy and excited that life is amazing and that I am more than capable of getting everything that it has for me. And I'm also excited that if I don't see the circumstances that I want, that I am more than capable of creating my own. Because I'm excited. And I hope you're excited as well. Okay, we're going to get ready to get up out of here, man. I've enjoyed this time today. And just as a closing thought, matter of fact, yeah, let's do this. It's not my car, is it? No, okay. I just want to, in thinking about where we are in life, where we are and what we're doing in this program, in this show. I want to close it a little different than I normally do. Let's go here. Yeah, I want to go here. And I want to just do this little something that I've been thinking about how I end stuff. When we're talking about getting out of the 80%, you got to be hungry. You got to be willing to fight for it because we are so programmed, so ingrained with so many things that come against us. Life, work. And we have to be willing to piece it together brick by brick, day by day, hurdle by hurdle. Everything that we must do, we must build. And that's what personal development is all about. Building. And to be quite honest with you, the hard part is the mind. Understanding that the subconscious mind is an open field. The subconscious mind is, in essence, fertile ground that you can plant anything on. You could plant a drug, you could plant veggies right next to them, and they'll grow just the same. They'll grow in abundance. The subconscious mind doesn't care what you put in it, but it will give you the returns. It will give you back everything that you put into it. So we have to be really conscious about what we feed in our mind, especially if we're expecting a certain harvest. And that's what your goals are. That's what your dreams are. It is the outcomes, the results that you want to experience in your life. And you can have it. You can have any of it. You can have all of it. But you got to plant the seeds in fertile ground. You got to plant the seeds in a space where they can grow. They can be free. And once you plant it, they're going to keep growing. They're going to keep giving you this endless harvest. The mind is a powerful machine. And it can bless you in so many ways. But you got to treat it right. You got to treat it right. You got to give it everything that it needs so it can function in the proper place. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up for today. I'm happy that you were able to be here. I want to give a shout out to my lovely wife, Bobbiette, for always being a supporter. My daughter, Imani, thank you for joining us this morning, baby. Craig G, keep it in the road. One love. Positive self-talk. I think I know who you are. I'm not going to dox you, but I love you. Thank you. Also, Monique, thank you for dropping through. I appreciate you. That chick, yo. Much love and respect. I really appreciate you for being here. And this weekend, man, Father Figure Fishing Tournament. If you in this area, go to fatherfigureinstitute.com, click the fishing tab. Check us out. Come volunteer, donate, come participate. Go to JamonGloverSpeaks.com/journal. Get your journals. That's it. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Be blessed.